Welcome back to the Van Love channel. Today we are upgrading our Ring RSU60 control unit for all our LED lights to this thing, the Garmin POWERSWITCH. So here we go, installing the Garmin POWERSWITCH. It's a 6-channel 12-volt controller. It's IPX7 rated, so it will sit quite happily under the bonnet, but we're probably not going to do that because the battery in a Ducato is actually under the floor in the cab, so we're going to try and wire it back into the cab. There is already existing wiring in this vehicle for all the LED lights on it, but the controller, we've had a couple of challenges with that. It doesn't quite work properly with the start-stop system, and there's a number of other limitations of that. Also, this box, thing I love about it is Bluetooth controlled through your phone, and it's also CarPlay and Android Auto compatible, so you can actually control all your lights through your dashboard. Brilliant idea. Let's get it installed. Today's installation is being done by a local auto electrician called Kevin. Inside the box you've got the power switch, 2 cables to connect to the battery, a live and a ground, a bag of connectors, and of course the all-important instruction manual. So as a reminder, we've got 2 lights on the roof. That's got a single feed coming in. We have got the light bar on the front. We've got 2 spots on the front, and then the front also feeds a pair of daytime running lights and also a strobe functionality. That means we've got about 6 cables coming in to the floor area here, all of which are put in flexible conduit. So by way of comparison, Kevin's got them here. These 2 things fundamentally do exactly the same thing, but one is that big and one is that big.
The advantage of the Ring box is that we can change the fuses to a lower rating for each circuit. Unfortunately, the Garmin box are all rated at 30 amps, so should a circuit require less than 30 amps, so let's say it's pulling 25 amps and it's pulling up to the load and there's a short circuit, that isn't going to cut off. It could be a problem. If that's 30 amp rated, you need to put, and it's only a 5 amp circuit, obviously you need to put a lower rated fuse in that line to protect it.
I don't know if Kevin's about to listen to the radio or if he's testing something, but
just want to know,
what is that, Kevin?
That is an ammeter.
Is a what? Sorry?
Amps, current.
Ah.
How much electricity is flowing through our cable.
And
so,
you know, not being rude, but what century is that from?
It's going back a bit.
Is that
I think it's probably about a 1960s
wow
special, that one is. Wilkinson ammeter, very, very good. Used extensively in garages.
Safe to say that's an analogue piece of equipment, isn't it?
It is an analogue piece of equipment.
Old
Beautiful
school.
Old school ammeter.
Love it.
And take that back to where it actually sits on 0. And put that onto our battery. Our lights are on and we can see they're drawing 10 amps current. I was just going to see what current is being drawn on each circuit. That was my master plan. So I'm going to run those back through the fuse box.
So we found a fuse box.
I found a fuse box, a little blade, ATO blade fuse box, which clips together quite nicely. So we're going to put some terminals onto these wires that we've pulled off and put them onto the fuse box, and then feed our Garmin box, each circuit, back in so it's fused at a lower value than the 30 amp output on each one of these.
When you do start digging around in your vehicle, especially a Ducato, and I'm not the first to notice this, but what you do get is random plugs like here. So there's a plug and a ground there, and they do nothing. Well, they do something in the right vehicle, so that will be a circuit for something that isn't included on this vehicle. And where Kevin's installing the cables down there, There's a huge grey multi-plug in there as well, and that doesn't seem to have a home. So if you start doing this yourself and digging around, if you find random things that aren't plugged in, don't panic. So Kevin's used his machine, and what he's learned is that the animals went in 2x2 into the ark because it's that old. We've also tested all the circuits, and so we know all the current draw from each of the lights, and Kevin's put that fuse block together, which has got all different rated fuses in depending on which of the lights is drawing on it. So even though the Garmin doesn't have fusing in it apart from the main fuse, we've now got fuses for all of the individual lines coming in, so we've got plenty of protection. So if anything goes wrong, we should be well covered. The fuse box has been done. Short connecting cables between the fuse box and the Garmin controller, that's also been done. We're also taking an ignition feed from behind the dashboard, which connects into the box, which acts as a live trigger for certain channels. Next job is to wire it back to the battery, put the ground on, and then pair it with a mobile phone. So Kevin's attached the power onto the machine and now trying to insert it under the carpet again. In the meantime, I'm going to have a quick look at the app while Kevin's doing that. So we're going to press already installed. Kevin, can you on that box,
Yeah.
there's a button. Can you can you press and hold that, please?
Yeah.
Till it goes blue. That's it.
That's
perfect.
Okay.
All right, okay.
You can see that flashing blue there.
Yeah, and then we go pair.
You got it?
And it says it's pairing, and now it's saying let's go. So now this should be controlling the channels on the Garmin PowerSwitch. So before we put this all away, we'll test that it works. So that's channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Final stages then, we just need to put the fuse block, put something between the fuse block and the vehicle, just so nothing live touches the body of the car. It's some really little clever pieces in this, like being able to trigger it off the ignition makes it such an easier system to use than the ring one. It's just a shame it's not fused. There might be people who will say why it doesn't need to be, but to be safe, we've made sure it is fused. So each channel of the controller has a corresponding button on the app. You saw me testing it earlier. What you can do is customize each of these buttons. I've got 2 in orange because they correspond to the orange lights on the front of the vehicle, and the rest are in blue. So we've got daytime running lights, orange DRL, beacons, light bar, spots, and the roof spots as well. Each of these, as I say, is customizable. You can go in, you can give it a custom name, you can put a custom icon on there, and also choose a color. And finally, you've got 3 choices here. So it's normal, which means it's an on-off button. There's momentary, which is a flash. So if you tap the button, it would just flash it. And there's strobe, so that's turning it on and off. You can dim the lights. There is also this bit at the bottom, which is automation. Control input 1 activates this button. Now that is the control lead that we put onto the Garmin Box earlier. That's a live ignition feed that's come from underneath the dash. It goes into the box, and what that means is you can program this when that's turned on. So when there's a live feed from the ignition that hits the box, it turns that particular button on. So button 1 on my controller is the daytime running lights on the front of the vehicle. They switch on when the ignition switch on, and then switch off again when the ignition switch is off. We've been testing it all today over the top of the hills, and works absolutely perfectly. You can also create custom buttons here as well. So what I've created is 2 buttons, front lights on. So this is the light bar and the 2 front spotlights. If I hit that, that puts on the front spots. If you look out the window, you'll see my tire tracks for a start. One thing about this is it can only do one thing. It would be great if it could do the opposite and turn it off. You need a second button to turn it off again, which is maybe a slight oversight. So come on Garmin, you can fix that. So that's the app, but the bit I really love about this is, and the reason you don't need a controller and also don't need to use your phone whilst you're driving, if you connect to Apple CarPlay, this is a system on the Ducato, you can go in here and the app comes up on the dashboard, and all the lights you've programmed in will show up on the dashboard itself. So if we want to put on the roof spots, they're there, front spotlights are there, light bars there. If we need to do the beacon, you can't really see that outside, but that goes on there. So there you have it, the Garmin PowerSwitch installed in Maverick. I think it's a really good future-proof system, especially the integration with CarPlay. It's not cheap, $439.99. AUX solutions are actually significantly cheaper than that, though they don't have CarPlay integration, though they do have Bluetooth connection on your phone. Anyway, I think it's great. I think it's worth the money. Can't recommend it enough. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, all that business. Have yourself a good one. We'll see you soon. Take care.